Hello friends, now this is our second lecture on the Chicago critics. Don't worry much about it because they did not have in any way much influence on the new criticism also, although some people consider this part of new criticism also. But let's not worry about that because as we have already seen, there are only two main points to consider. One is that the neo-Aristotelianism, means they are sticking on to certain rules given by Aristotle, that is genre, for example, comedy, tragedy, lyric, dithyrambic and so on. And also they are considering about, or they are concerned about wholeness, the whole of literature. For example, the new literary criticism, their thrust is only the verbal icon. Verbal icon means text is the iconic nature of the text, not anything surrounding that, for example, history, biography of author and so on. Understand? So that is the basic point that we should remember, and we were discussing that. Now what you see is this last, you remember now, Wimsatt calls the Chicago critics hypocritical, and Chicago critics call Wimsatt and his friends in the literary world, his collaborators, we can say Beardsley, Monroe Beardsley, we have seen that, syncretist. Syncretist means taking good points from all the available theories and making a new poetics. Nothing original in that, that's what. So as I told you, something like a collage. In the last class I was getting, you remember I was becoming nervous to find out whether it is camouflage or it is collage. And finally you helped me to say that it is collage. Okay, thank you. Now, you see the point is, Wimsatt says, according to Wimsatt, because it is a reaction against, we can see this is a Chicago critics is the reaction against the new criticism. The new criticism's thrust, or the new criticism's point, focus, so to say, on the text and the text only. Text and the text only. So Wimsatt said there are three main poles of literary theory, according to Wimsatt. We will quote him, we will say, take him as an authority for this purpose of our discussion. And so we say, there are many other authorities, as we can see. Alan Tate is there, Cleon Brooke is there, then you have got I. Richards himself, who has done a lot of experiments, classroom experiments and so on. So for the time being, we will take what he said, we will listen to what Wimsatt has to say. He says, there are three poles to literary theory. There one is the mimetic one. Mimetic or the Aristotelian. Mimetic or Aristotelian. That is the world outside. World outside. Because if you want to imitate, then there you can only imitate the world outside. Mimetic is Aristotelian also. Second is emotive. Emotive means response. Response to a work of art. First is imitation, second is response, and third is, of course, expressionistic. Expressionistic means use of language. So these are the three poles you can see in literary criticism, or three aspects of literary criticism, we can say, literary theory and literary criticism. Okay, so first is mimetic, second is emotive. Emotive is the response, how your emotions respond, and thirdly expressionistic. Now the point to note here is that 2 and 3 items, response and expressionism, you will find in all arts. Because you cannot have a work of art without response from the audience, spectators, and also you cannot have a work of art without using language. The mimetic, of course, it is indefinitely variable. I think that is self-explanatory when I say mimetic is indefinitely variable. There is no end to that. Understand? Because you are imitating the world. As we have seen, like Plato, as Plato said, the duality The ideal is something else. What you see is the world outside, that the concrete world that you see, the tangible world that you see. And there you have got the indefinite variety. And so in mimetic art also, or the imitation also, it will be indefinitely variable. A simple thing to understand. So McCain's basic McCain, you remember no, two main critics. One is this expert in philosophical systems, that is McCain, and the other is R.S. Crane. R.S. Crane, his poetics, criticism and so on is so R.S. Crane. These are the two main people in this. Although there are many others, but these are the leading intellectuals of the Chicago critics. Understand? Chicago approach to criticism. Now, according to McCain, there are he makes two basic distinctions. One is, says literary criticism, he says, that is analytical or dialogical. Analytical or dialogical. Basic. Analogical or dialectical. Or. Now this means, this is first one distinction that is made. And second one is literal, so that it's easy for me to compare these things, literal. Now, analogical or dialectical means that criticism is, it connects poetry with sciences, morals, philosophy, psychology, and linguistics, and so on. History, biography of the author, and so on. Literary, only poetry and nothing else. See that? So the two distinctions, that is, one is analogical criticism or dialectical criticism, both means the same. That means taking into account all the other aspects of, say, social life, society, life of the author, the environment, and so on. The other is poetry and nothing else. And that is what the new critics are doing. And it is against this they are quarreling. Understand? Yes. So Aristotle considers another aspect of this Chicago critics, what they are putting forward is, they say that according to Aristotle, poetry is a thing. According to Aristotle, poetry is a thing. Something that is concrete. Poetry is a thing. And language is the stuff with which you create this thing. It is a building material for poetry as a, or according to Aristotle theory of causality, it is the material cause. Material. You remember, no, very often I bring to your mind this four causes according to Aristotle. Aristotle theory of causality. First one is the material cause, second is the formal cause, third is the efficient cause, fourth is the final cause. Again, I will just give you one as a refresh your memory. Material cause, suppose it is a table, then a wood. The formal cause, the size, the shape. The efficient cause, the carpenter who is making it. And final cause, the purpose of it. So according to Aristotle and these neo-Aristotelians, poetry is a thing, something that something concrete. And the material cause is language. That's what they say. But here is it is not a thing. According to new critics, it is not a thing. It is a verbal discourse. If there is anything thing in poetry, that is what you find is the poet speaking. The poet speaking. It is a human act. It is a physical act. It is a mental act. But it is not a thing, a concrete thing that you can touch and feel. It is, if there is anything thing in front of us, and that is the poet speaking. Making a poem a non-verbal thing it is very difficult to criticize a poem. Then the criticism will not be scientific, it will not be literal. Literary theory considers a poem, not a thing. See, like for example, the comparison, you can see bricks and a building. You can say bricks, building block, and the building is a thing. It's not like that. It's a human act. It is a physical act. It is a mental act. What? Poetry. So this is the point, first point that is, see how the new critics and the Chicago critics, their point of departure or difference you can find here. Understand? For the new critics, the poem is a verbal act. It is a verbal discourse. It is not a thing, but for the Chicago, it is a thing. Difference. First difference. Second difference is, Chicago critics say all the others, they say they are partial. Why? Because the new critics, they are concerned only, their focus is on poetry and poetry only. So this is partial. But the answer to that, Wimsatt, Alan Tate, Cleon Brooks, I. Richards and so on, what do is that they say that we are looking at the larger architectural whole as our ideal. Larger architectural whole. We are not partial. We are looking at the larger architectural whole. Understand? Architectural whole. Not partial. But what we do is, we find small holes within big holes. That's the point. You understand that? And our focus is on technical principles of ambiguity, then irony, paradox, and so on. Did you see the difference? According to the Chicago critics, new critics, they are partial. They deal only with poetry. But and also part of it, not only poetry, but part of it. What is it? Language, paradox, irony, and so on. How these poetic devices, they create meaning or produce meaning. But the new critics say, no, not at all. We are looking at the whole, the architectural whole, and then with it. Just as you see, you go to a huge building, and then you see each room is a whole. Each room has an independent existence, like this. Say Shakespeare's, for example, Shakespeare's soliloquy. It is a whole. A small W-H-O-L-E means whole within a larger whole. Understand? This is a very important point to note. For example, if we say Macbeth's soliloquy, part of it is even it is a whole. Out brief candid life is a tale told of an idiot full of sound and fury signifying nothing. That is philosophy of life, isn't it? Or very often I say to be or not to be. He ponders over whether I should commit suicide or not, and finally he comes to the conclusion that undiscovered born, or country from whose born not traveler returns, puzzles the will and make us suffer these ills which we have, than to fly to those that we know not of, so conscience that make cowards of us all. Thus he concludes, conscience that make cowards of us all. And continue after this. So that is a whole. Portia's speech in a Midsummer Night's Dream, that is a whole. Who said it is not? It is. Sometimes you can see in the anthologies, it is prescribed, it is listed, you can see, it's one of the items for teaching, isn't it? So then always it is a whole. So what these people are saying is, new critics say that, there are good big holes. And inside this good big hole, they can find good small holes. And they are also concerned about technical principles of ambiguity and so on. Even a single line can be a good small whole. A thing of beauty is a joy for us. Right? Or if winter comes, can spring be far behind? Right? So, even in essays you will find this. The opening lines of Bacon's essay of studies. Studies serve for delight, for ornament and for ability. That is a good small hole within the big, good big hole of that essay. And there are many such statements made. I think it is clear. Now it is clear. Okay. I am neither supporting the Chicago critics nor the Wimsatt and his group. No. I am just presenting before you these things. Alright. So our first point is that the poem is not a thing, but it is a verbal discourse. Second point is that modern new critics are not partial. They look at the architecture of the whole thing, so to say. And they consider that, they look at the larger architectural whole. They consider good small holes inside good big holes. That's the second. And the third point is, with this I think we will be able to conclude this today, because as I told you, it is for our, there shouldn't be any intellectual irritation within us now. Just to see curiosity, oh, what is this Chicago critics, what are they talking about and so on. That's why I thought of just telling you these main points. Understand? Because they do not make any impact later. Okay, so the next one is, they say that the new critics say, this Chicago critics, they are assessing or trying to study poems by not looking at the essence of it. But what they are trying to do is that they are applying antique, Hellenistic, Roman, neoclassic rules of genre. Hellenistic, neoclassic, antique, Roman rules. Let's say that of Longinus, then Horace, Aristotle and so on. Those days are gone. Now we are not at all concerned much about the genre or criticizing a work of art as a poetry. We are here speaking about poetry based on the genre. Not at all. Understand? What is important is the essential concept of a poem. And concept of a poem as a verbal art. That's the essential thing. Names of species are, you can say, neutral descriptive terms. Of course, they have great utility also. Classifying, a kind of what we say taxonomies, classification. They are neutral terms, and they can be used with great utility, of course. Not. That is not the point. The point is aesthetic essences. Understand? Aesthetic essences. They are points of reference for different sets of, you can see, definable rules. This genre criticism provide points of reference for different sets of definable kinds, so to say. They give us definable rules. This is actually a major drawback of Chicago system, the rigidity of the Chicago system. That is, they depend too much on the Aristotelian concepts, and that's why they are called the Neo-Aristotelians also. So these are the 3 points that today we have been considering. First is the Chicago critics' contention that the poetry or a poem is a thing, but new critics say it is a verbal discourse. Second, the Chicago critics say that it is they are more concerned. They say they are partial. New critics are partial, but the new critics say they are looking at the larger architectural wholes, and they find good small holes within good big holes. Example already we have given soliloquies of Shakespeare, or in Marlowe, Christopher Marlowe. The such speeches of Christopher Marlowe's hero Tamberline, or see the last speech of Dr. Faustus. These are good small holes within. So you cannot say we are not looking at that. And the third point is the genre criticism. That is dividing or classifying work of art like this as poetry, especially that is, or work of art as a whole, tragedy, comedy, tragicomedy, then the dramatic lyric, and you have got dramatic monologue and all those things. This is rigid rules. They are neutral terms. Neutral terms that tell us something. Of course, they inform us. We are not against it. But that is not the way to approach it. How will you approach the poem? See how the text, the verbal icon, produces meaning, generates meaning. By way of, this is modern criticism, or new critics, by way of, say, poetic devices, such as paradox, irony, and use of different metaphors, and so on, figures of speech, and so on. Understand? So, I think that we can sum up 1 or 2 points more, just I want to make, that is according to Wimsatt and the group, they say, the Chicago critics, they don't advance the cause either of new criticism or of new Aristotelianism. Because nothing happens here, except that some old things are brought forward. And secondly, definition of poetry is self-contained and circular, they say. Understand? According to new critics, it is self-contained poetry, this rules and things like that. And then there are two minds here, saturated with the history of ideas, and they are R.S. Crane and Mathew, Richard Mathew. And finally he says, nothing to say about the dialectical or the analogical method, or the dialectical or analogical criticism, theory of criticism that is put forward by Mathew. Understand? So that's why they are, the summing up is one-sided. Right? Because why? All the while we have been discussing about how the Chicago critics took or considered the new critics. How they reacted against this extreme way of looking at a work of art, that is only the text as the icon, text as the verbal icon. So that title is also very important. So verbal icon, verbal discourse, not a thing, a material thing. If there is anything, thing in it, Thomas, that is the poet speaking. That's all. So with this we conclude this. I think that you got some idea about what Chicago critics are, how are they called, why are they called Chicago critics? Because they are connected with the university there. Who are the two great men? That is Crane and McCain. And Crane was an Aristotelian, so he brought in all these things into this, because as a reaction against the new criticism. And McCain was an expert in philosophical systems also. So from Aristotle he took many ideas, and then we found that It's nothing, there's nothing, what you should say, new in this. They are all the time thinking about Jane and then also Aristotle's theories of criticism. They say that based on that, they say that the new critics are not, they are partial. On the other hand, the new critics, they categorically state that we are not partial, we are looking at the larger architectural wholes of a poetic work. Understand? Or a work of art. That's what they say. And they give examples. I think that you have followed it, you have enjoyed this set of classes. And if so, you should share it with your friends and also subscribe so that you get more videos of interest to you. And the next series will be 7 types of ambiguity. 7 types of ambiguity. Understand? I think it will be useful to you. Therefore, please log on to my channel and stay tuned, so to say. Understand? Okay? So till we see again, bye. Have a nice day. Fine.